Hi friends, this video is on a judgment passed by the National Anti-Profiteering Authority under GST. GST law is an improvisation over the VAT and service tax. In the erstwhile legislations, the input tax credits were restricted on certain type of payments and the rules were stringent. With GST, input tax credit was relaxed and the rules are lightened. So the businessman starts gaining from this as the indirect tax cost comes down due to ITC, as the ITC is relaxed. The GST law mandated that such benefit of the ITC should not be taken as a profit to the businessman but should be passed on to the customer. This is tricky because we cannot make out so easily the businessman's costs in the light of GST era. Hence, there were cases of anti-profiteering measures taken by the officers of the CBIC. This video deals with Elegant Properties case in this regard. The verdict was given by the National Anti-Profiteering Authority. The GST law on immovable properties has undergone change now, which has to be kept in mind along with this case law for a better understanding. Kindly subscribe the channel and click the like button on liking the video. National Anti-Profiteering Authority considered the report dated October 2019 received from the applicant number 2, in this case Director General of Anti-Profiteering DGAP under Rule 133(4) of the CGST Act. The brief facts of the present case are that a reference was received from the Standing Committee on Anti-Profiteering on August 2018 to conduct a detailed investigation in respect of an application dated May 2018 filed by the applicant number 1, which was originally examined by the Screening Committee of Karnataka under Rule 128(2) of the above rules. It alleged that profiteering by the respondent in respect of the purchase of a flat by the applicant number 1 in the project Elegant Berkeley, situated at Hennur village. In the said application, the applicant number 1 alleged that the respondent had not provided any tax invoice for the supply of construction service, charged higher GST at 18% instead of 12% with effect from 1st July 2017. And also, service tax was charged after GST came into force. Further, the applicant alleged that the respondent had raised the cost of the flat from 99 lakhs, which was the agreement value, to 1,05,48,000 after implementation of GST by extracting service tax on the already paid amount in the pre-GST era and also charged GST at 18% instead of 12% on the balance amount after the introduction of GST. This application was examined by the application number 2, that is the DGAP, and the investigation report dated 4th October 18 under Rule 129(6) of the 2017 rules was submitted to the authority. The DGAP, while the report dated October 2018 concluded that the allegation in the application related to excess charging of service tax and GST by the respondent, which could not be redressed through the provisions of Section 171 of the CGST Act. However, this authority, while its later dated 15th November 18, referred the matter back to DGAP under Rule 133(4) of the rules to conduct investigation after observing due formalities and also incorporating the observations dated 7th November 2018, which was made by the Screening Committee of Karnataka on the report dated 4th October 2018. The DGAP, on receipt of above reference from this authority, decided to collect the evidence necessary to determine whether the benefit of the input tax credit has been passed on by the respondent to the applicant number 1 in respect of the construction service supplied by the respondent, and a notice under Rule 129 Sub-Rule 3 was issued by the DGAP on 4th December 2018 to submit a reply as to whether the ITC benefit was passed on to the recipient, and also asked the respondent to suo motu determine the quantum of benefit which was not passed on. The respondent as well as the above applicant was allowed to inspect the evidence submitted by the other party. However, both of them did not avail the same. The DGAP claimed that the respondent had also not supplied the complete information sought by him by stating that he was not in a position to submit the desired information as all the relevant documents had been seized by the Commercial Taxes Department. Accordingly, the DGAP asked the jurisdictional authorities to permit the respondent to access to the seized documents. However, via its letter, the Additional Commissioner of Commercial Taxes informed that he had not seized any documents or books of accounts from the business premises of the respondent and has obtained only the photocopies of the documents required for verification. Hence, repeated summons were issued against him under Section 70 of the CGST Act, read with Rule 132 of the CGST rules, to appear and submit the desired information or documents. The DGAP further submitted that when after repeated letters and summons, the respondent Elegant Properties failed to submit the complete documents or information, he decided to depute a team of officers to visit the premises of the respondent to collect the requisite documents or records, and accordingly a team of assistant director, superintendent visited the premises of the respondent on 27th May 2019 along with an inspector of the jurisdictional CGST Commissionerate. The respondent was also intimated about the date of the visit by a letter dated 21st May 2019, which was duly acknowledged by him. During the visit, all the requisite documents or information were collected from the respondent, and also statement of B. Rajshekar, who is the partner in the respondent, had been recorded on 27th May 2019. However, copies of purchase bills were not readily available with the respondent, which were assured to be sent over email within 3 working days. The respondent submitted his replies to the DGAP via letters, emails, and statements. The replies of the respondent are summed up as follows. A. That the respondent was a partnership firm having 2 partners, namely B. Rajashekar and Srimati Vijaya Chamundi, having single GST registration. He was engaged in civil works and contracts for construction and sale of residential flats under the joint development agreements. The project Elegant Berkeley was a joint development project where MOU was signed on 14 September 2011 to develop the project. The JDA was signed on 29th April 2015 after the approval for the construction of the project was obtained on 4th February 2013. The project consisted of 36 residential units, of which the respondent's share was 20 residential units, all of which have been sold, and he had charged GST at 18% earlier from his customers in the absence of clear-cut directions. And then he was charging GST at 12% and was in the process of refunding the excess amount charged from the applicant number 1 and other customers. He was not in a position to furnish the requisite information to this office since all the records had been taken by DCCT enforcement. The respondent further submitted that he had taken the GST registration on 3rd April 2018 and thus not filed the GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B returns for the period from July 2017 to March 2018. The project Elegant Berkeley was completed in December 2016. There was no major work pending and only minor finishing like painting and cleaning took place post GST, on which he had availed ITC. Service tax returns have not been filed by him, and thus he has received a show cause notice dated 20th April 2018 from the Office of the Principal Commissioner of Central Tax, GST Commissionerate, for an amount of 1 crore 23 lakhs. Further, in the statement recorded on 27th May 2019, the respondent stated that he was engaged in civil works and contracts for construction and sale of residential flats under the joint development agreements. He entered into agreements with the buyers of flats and received advance before completion of construction. As of 1st July 2017, he was undertaking construction of 11 projects. Further, he had not introduced or launched any new projects after GST came into force. He was maintaining his books of accounts by electronic means in Tally software and classified accounts for all the projects as separate cost centers. The project Elegant Berkeley was a joint development project where memorandum of undertaking was entered with Amala Engineering Company Private Limited, hereafter called as landowner. The JDA was entered on 14 September 2011 to develop the project, and the plan got approved on 4th February 2013. And he had started construction of the project on 4th Feb in Jan 2013, that is the excavation. He entered into the joint development agreement on 29th April 2015. As per MOU and JDA entered with the landowner, he was required to construct a total of 36 residential flats, 1 club and 1 recreational center. He owned right to sell 20 out of total 36 residential flats, and he had already sold all the 20 flats of his share. Further, he stated that he had neither received nor applied for occupation certificate or completion certificate, as it was not mandatory to get such a certificate for a small project. It was mandatory for high-rise building only, he mentioned. He also furnished the account statement of all the 20 residential flat buyers in the project Elegant Berkeley. As per the agreement entered with the buyers, he had received the consideration from the prospective buyers of flats and gave the receipts. He also submitted that he did not raise any tax invoice towards the money received. He had furnished the summary of ledger of the input VAT and GST for the period from 1st April 2016 till 31st October 2018 for the project Elegant Berkeley. As the project was completed in December 2016, there was no major work pending and only minor finishing work like painting and cleaning had taken place after the introduction of GST, in respect of which he had availed input tax credit. He had received the notice from Office of Assistant Commissioner of Commercial Taxes for cancellation of registration for the reason of not furnishing GST returns for a continuous period of 6 months. He also submitted that a survey was also conducted at his premises on 25th March 2019 by the Deputy Commissioner of Income Tax. This was under section 133A of the Income Tax Act, and he impounded the books of accounts. The DGAP has covered the period from 1st July 2017 to 31st October 2018 for investigation. The respondent, vide his aforementioned letters, emails, etc., had submitted various documents and information like copies of GSTR1 returns for the period from April 18 to March 19, copies of GSTR3B from April 18 to March 19, VAT returns April 16 to June 17, copies of all the demand letters, sale agreement, contracts issued in the name of the applicant, joint development agreement copy dated 29th April 2015, details of applicable tax rates pre-GST and post-GST, copy of balance sheet including all annexures and profit and loss account for financial year 16-17 and 17-18, electronic credit ledger for the period April 18 to December 18, Senvat credit input tax credit ledgers for the period from April 16 to March 19, list of home buyers in the project Berkeley, copies of purchase invoices during the period from July 17 to October 18, copies of show cause notices received from service tax, commercial taxes, SGST and income tax authorities, copies of bank statements for the period 1st July 2017 to 31st December 2018. That is the period of investigation by the DGAP. The DGAP has submitted that the respondent, via letter dated 2nd April 2019, submitted a copy of sale agreement, demand letters and payment recipients for the sale of flat number T2 first floor to the applicant, measuring 1972 square feet at a basic sale price of 5020 per square feet. As the respondent had not raised any tax invoice and shown amount received from the applicant as loan, the details of amounts and taxes paid by the applicant number 1 to the respondent are furnished, showing the total receipt of 1,05,48,000. The DGAP further observed that the respondent has collected 99 lakhs towards the basic cost of the flats and balance amount of 6,48,000 representing service tax and GST from the applicant number 1. The respondent, Elegant Properties, also informed that he will be refunding excess GST amount of 90,000 rupees collected from the applicant number 1, that is 15 lakhs at 18% less 15 lakhs at 12%. However, as per the books of account of the respondent, he had transferred the whole amount of 1,04,49,000 net of TDS to sales account via a journal entry on 16th January 2018, which showed that the respondent had not transferred 6,48,000 into the output tax liability ledgers and consequently not discharged his liability and thus contravened the provisions of section 76 of the Central Goods and Services Act. This is also as per Rule 73A of the Finance Act and section 174 of the CGST Act. The same modality was being followed with other recipients also. In these cases, try to check the provisions of section 174, section 73A and the relevant rules. That is helpful to reduce the time of this video. The DGAP further informed that the computation of profiteering was made by Karnataka Screening Committee. Let us look at that. The DGAP informed that the computation of profiteering of 2.65% made by Karnataka Screening Committee in its letter dated 7th November 2018 was examined by him, and it was found that the committee had compared the total tax incidence of 14.65% in the pre-GST period, that is service tax at 15% on 30% of the apartment cost plus VAT at 14.5% on 70% of the apartment cost. So in the service tax, there was a methodology of paying on a portion of the consideration service tax and on a portion of consideration as VAT, and hence the combined rate came to 14.65%, which is service tax plus rate plus VAT divided by the total consideration. With the effective GST rate of 12%, it was compared in the post GST period to arrive at a figure of 2.65%, that is 14.65% pre-GST period minus 12% post GST period is equal to 2.65%. This was treated as the benefit of reduction in the tax rate. However, this finding of the committee was incorrect as the basis for computation of service tax and VAT were different, as service tax of 4.5% was on the total apartment cost including land value, but VAT of 14.5% was on 70% of the value excluding land value. Therefore, the conclusion of the Karnataka Screening Committee that the rate of tax was reduced from 14.65% to 12% was not correct. Instead, the effective GST rate increased to 12%. That is GST at 18% along with 1/3 abatement for land value. from the aggregate effective rate of tax in pre-GST regime of 11.27%. That is, service tax at 15% on total 30% of total apartment cost, including land value, plus VAT at 14.5% on 70% on the two-third value of total apartment cost, including the land value, considering one-third abatement for land value. So actually the pre-GST regime rate then became 11.27%. He also informed that para 5 of Schedule 3 of the CGST Act, that is activities or transactions which shall be treated neither as a supply of goods nor as a supply of services, reads as sale of land and subject to clause B of paragraph 5 of Schedule 2, sale of building. Further, clause B of paragraph 5 of Schedule 2 of CGST Act reads as construction of a complex building, civil structure or a part thereof, including a complex or building intended for sale to a buyer, wholly or partly, except where the entire consideration has been received after issuance of completion certificate, where required by the competent authority, or after its first occupation, whichever is earlier. Thus, the ITC pertaining to the residential units which are under construction but not sold is a provisional input tax credit which may be required to be reversed by the respondent if such units remain unsold at the time of issuance of the completion certificate. In terms of section 17 subsection 2 and subsection 3 of the CGST Act, the provision says, subsection 2 of section 17, where the goods or services or both are used by the registered person partly for effective taxable supplies, including zero rated supplies or under the IGST, and partly for effecting exempt supplies under the said acts, the amount of credit shall be restricted to so much of the input tax as is attributable to the taxable supplies plus zero rated supplies. Section 17 subsection 3 says, the value of exempt supply under subsection 2 shall be such as may be prescribed and shall include supplies on which the recipient is liable to pay tax on reverse charge basis, transactions in securities, sale of land, and subject to clause B of paragraph 5 of Schedule 2, sale of building. Therefore, the input tax credit pertaining to the unsold units may not fall within the ambit of this investigation, and the respondent was required to recalibrate the selling price of such units to be sold to the prospective buyers by considering the net benefit of additional input tax credit available to him post GST. The respondent submitted that out of a total of 36 flats, his share was only 20 flats and he had sold all those 20 flats. However, respondent had not submitted any of the details of the land ownership. He also informed that in terms of Rules 4 of the SENVAT credit rules, read with notification number 6/2015, the provider of output service shall not take SENVAT credit after 1 year of the date of issuance of any of the documents specified in Subrule 1 of Rule 9. As the respondent had not filed any ST3 returns during the period from April 16 to June 17, even before this period, no input tax credit could be claimed by him for charging to his output tax liability. For the reason, the Office of the Principal Commissioner of Central Tax, GST Commissionerate, vide its show cause notice dated 20th April 2018, has proposed to disallow the SENVAT credit shown by the respondent. He further reported that regarding the allegation of profiteering before 1st July 2017, that is before the GST was introduced, the respondent was eligible to avail ITC of VAT paid on inputs. Only that. No credit was available in respect of central excise duty paid on the inputs. And also, credit of service tax paid on input services was not available to the respondent for the reason mentioned above. So, post GST, the respondent could avail ITC of GST paid on all the inputs and the input services, including the subcontracts. From the information submitted by the respondent for the period from April 2016 to October 2018, The details of the ITC availed by him, his turnover from the project Elegant Berkeley, the ratio of ITC to turnover during the pre-GST, that is April 16 to June 17, and post-GST, July 17 to October 18 periods, are furnished in the table now. Here goes the table B, computation of tax. Number 1, SENVAT of service tax paid on input services used. This is A. Pre-GST, post-GST is nil. Remarks. Rule 4 of the SENVAT credit rules 2004. Because on input services, SENVAT of service tax was 0. Number 2, input tax credit of VAT paid on purchase of inputs, that is B. Pre-GST 6,86,000, post-GST nil, as per ledger furnished by the respondent. Point 3, input tax credit of GST availed, pre-GST 0, post-GST 6,08,920, as per books of accounts. The total SENVAT credit is 6,86,241, pre-GST, post-GST 6,08,920. 5. The total saleable super built-up area in SFT, pre-GST 61,232 square feet, post-GST 61,232 square feet, as per the JDA. Super built-up area share of landowner is 27,414 square feet, both pre-GST and post-GST, as per JDA. 7. Input tax credit pertaining to the landowner is 3,07,235 and 2,72,618, pre-GST and post-GST respectively. ITC pertaining to landowner share computed proportionately. This is a portion of that 6,86,000 and 6,08,920 above. You can see in point number 4. 8. Input tax credit pertaining to the respondent 3,79,006 pre-GST, 3,36,302 post-GST. 9. Turnover for residential flats as per home buyers 2,05,58,000 pre-GST, 1,38,16,899 post-GST is as per books of accounts. 10. Total saleable super built-up area in square feet is 33,818, both pre-GST and post-GST. 11. Total sold super built-up area in square feet relevant to turnover is 9,076 square feet pre-GST, 19,552 square feet post-GST, as per books of accounts again. 12. Relevant input tax credit is 1,01,717 for pre-GST, 1,94,434 for post-GST. This ITC is a proportionate ITC pertaining to total sold super built-up area. That is in point number 11. That as a ratio of the total ITC that is allowed. The respondent has neither raised an invoice to landowner nor paid service tax or GST on construction value pertaining to the area of landowner, and also not passed on any of the benefit of input tax credit to them. He further claimed that from the table B that we discussed now, it was clear that the input tax credit as a percentage of the turnover that was available to the respondent during the pre-GST period, April 16 to June 17, was 0.49%, and during the post-GST period, July 17 to October 18, was 1.41%. This confirmed that post-GST the respondent was benefited from additional input tax credit to the tune of 0.92%, 1.41% minus 0.49% of the turnover. Accordingly, the profit hearing has been examined by the comparing of the applicable tax rate and input tax credit available in the pre-GST when service tax at 4.5%, VAT at 6.77% were applicable, total of 11.27%, with the post-GST period of July 17 to October 18 when the effective GST rate was 12%. That is GST at 18% along with 1/3 abatement for land value. On construction service, this was levied under the notification number 11/2017. Accordingly, on the basis of the figures contained in table B, The comparative figures of the ratio of input tax credit available or availed to the turnover in the pre-GST and post-GST periods, as well as the turnover, the recalibrated base price and the excess realization, that is profiteering during the GST post-GST period, are tabulated in this table C. The period July 17 to October 18 pertaining to post-GST period. Output GST rate 12%. The ratio of SENVAT credit to input tax credit to the total turnover as per table B 1.41%. Increasing in input tax credit availed post GST 0.92%, that is 1.41% less 0.49%. Analysis of increase in input tax credit. Base price raised or collected from July to October is 1 crore 38 lakh 16,899. GST raised or collected over base price is 16 lakh 58,028. That is 1 crore 38 16,899 multiplied by 12%. Total demand raised or collected is 1 crore 54 74 927, that is 1 crore 38 plus 16.58 lakhs. Recalibrated base price is 99.08%, that is E, that is base price multiplied by 1 minus D, that is 1 minus 0.92%. So 1 crore 36 lakh 89,784, that is the recalibrated base price. GST at 12% is 16 lakh 42,774. Commensurate demand price is 1 crore 53 lakh 32,558. So excess collection of demand or profiteering is 154,74,927 minus 153,32,558, resulting in 1,42,369, which is treated as excess collection of demand or the profiteering amount. He further claimed that from table C that we discussed now, it could be deduced that the additional input tax credit of 0.92% of the turnover should have resulted in the commensurate reduction in the base price as well as tax price. Therefore, in terms of section 171 of the CGST Act, the benefit of such additional ITC was required to be passed on by the respondent to the recipients. Further, regarding the amount of additional benefit of the ITC, it appeared that based on the aforesaid SENVAT or input tax credit availability in the pre and post GST periods and the details of the amount collected by the respondent from the applicant number 1 and other home buyers during the period July 17 to October 18, the amount of benefit of ITC that needed to be passed on by the respondent to recipients came to 1,42,369, which includes 12% GST on the base profiteered amount of 1,27,115. The home buyer or unit-wise breakup of this amount was given as per Annexure 45 of the report. This amount was inclusive of 21,113, including GST on the base profiteered amount of 18,851, which is the benefit of input tax credit required to be passed on to the applicant number 1. He also submitted that the above computation of profiteering was concerning 11 home buyers, whereas the respondent had booked 20 units till 31st October 18, out of which 9 customers who had booked the flats and also paid the booking amounts in the pre-GST period have not paid any consideration during the post-GST period, that is 1st July 17 to 31st October 18, that is the period under investigation. Therefore, if the ITC in respect of these 11 units was considered to calculate profiteering in respect of 11 units, where payments have been received after GST, the input tax credit as a percentage of turnover may be erroneous. Therefore, the benefit of the ITC in respect of these 9 units may be calculated when the consideration is received from such units by taking into account the proportionate input tax credit in respect of such units. He also observed that the said services have been supplied by the respondent in the state of Karnataka only. He conclusively submitted that provision of section 171 of the CGST Act have been contravened by the respondent, since the additional benefit of ITC of 0.92% of the base price received by the respondent during July 17 to October 18 has not been passed on by the respondent to the applicant number 1 and other recipients. On this account, the respondent has realized an additional amount to the tune of 21,113 from applicant number 1, which included both the profiteered amount at 0.92% of the base price and GST on the said profiteered amount. So an additional amount of 1,21,256, which includes both profiteered amount at 0.92% of base price and GST on the said profiteered amount from 10 other recipients who are not applicants in the present proceedings. As these recipients were identifiable as per the documents provided by the respondent, therefore this additional amount of 1,21,256 was required to be returned to such eligible recipients. He also submitted that as the present investigation covered the period from July 17 to October 18, profiteering, if any, for the period post October 18 has not been examined, as the exact quantum of input tax credit that will be available to the respondent in the future could not be determined at this stage, when the respondent is continuing to avail input tax credit in respect to the present project. This report was considered by the authority in its meeting held on 15th October 2019, and it was decided to hear the applicants and the respondent on 6th November 2019. Notice dated October 19, 17th October 19 was also issued to the respondent to explain why the report furnished by the DGAP should not be accepted and his liability for having violated provisions of Section 171 of the CGST Act should not be fixed. Further, the opportunities of hearings were also given on 26 November 19 and 10 December 2019. However, neither the applicants nor the respondent appeared in any of the hearings. The applicant number 1, in his submissions dated 6 November 19, submitted that the respondent had sent a check of 90,000 to him, claiming that the excess GST charged has been refunded, and so that the anti-profiteering case should not be proceeded. However, it was very less than the actual profiteering established against the builder. The applicant number 1 further submitted that the respondent had claimed that Elegant Berkeley was completed in December 16. However, the GST has been charged from him even in the subsequent demands after December 16. He also submitted that the respondent's claim that he had not applied for completion certificate or occupancy certificate, as it was not mandatory for a small project, was incorrect. As per the building bylaws of BBMP Bangalore, occupation certification and completion certificate are mandatory for any residential complex with more than 5 units. Further, while submission stated 11th November 19, applicant number 1 submitted that the respondent has increased the cost of the flat from 99 lakhs to 1 crore 5 lakh 48,000 after implementation of GST by charging an extra sum of 3 lakh 78,000 and also refused to provide the appropriate tax invoice for the same, which may be due to tax avoidance. He further submitted that he could not attend the hearing and he agreed to the report submitted by the DGAP. The respondent, while his submission stated 5th November 2019, stated that he had refunded an amount of 90,000 to applicant number 1, being the excess GST amount which was erroneously collected. He further submitted that as he had cleared or settled the excess GST amount, the matter may be closed. He also submitted that he was aged about 67 years and due to old age problems, he could not attend the hearing. The authority carefully considered the report of the DGAP, submissions made by respondent, and based on the record, it is revealed that the respondent is executing project Elegant Berkeley at Hennur Village. On examining the various submissions, the following issues needed to be addressed. A. Whether there was reduction in the rate of tax on the construction service provided by the respondent with effect from 1st July 17. Whether there was any net additional benefit of ITC that has accrued to the respondent which was required to be passed on to him by his recipients. Whether there was any violation of the provisions of Section 171 of the CGST Act by not passing on the above benefits by the respondent. A perusal of the report dated 8th October 2019 furnished by the DGAP shows that after taking into account the benefit of credit available during the pre-GST period from April 16 to June 17, to the taxable turnover received during the above period, the ratio of ITC to turnover has been computed by the DGAP as 0.49% of turnover as per the table B that we discussed earlier. The above ratio has been calculated as 1.41% for the GST period July 17 to August 18. Accordingly, the DGAP has claimed that the respondent has benefited to the tune of 0.92% of the turnover, which he is required to pass on to his buyers. These ratios of ITC to turnover have been arrived at by the DGAP based on the information and documents supplied by the respondent, which has been duly verified by the DGAP, and hence the above ratios can be relied upon. The respondent has not disputed the above ratios and had instead requested to close the matter, as he has voluntarily refunded an amount of 90,000 to applicant number 1, this being the excess GST amount which was erroneously collected. However, the DGAP in his report dated 8th October 19 has calculated the amount to be refunded to the applicant as 21,113. The respondent has not attended any of the 3 hearing opportunities afforded to him, and hence the authority had no option except to conclude the hearing on basis of his sole submission stated 5th November 2019. Based on these facts, the applicant number 1, via his submission stated 6 November 19, submitted that although he agreed to the DGAP report, he would like to point out that the respondent has increased the cost of flat from 99 lakhs to 1 crore 5 lakhs after implementation of GST by charging an extra sum of 3,78,000, and also refused to provide the appropriate tax invoice for the same, which may be due to tax avoidance. However, this issue, the anti-profiting authority says it is outside their purview, and hence he may approach the appropriate forum for redressal of the same. Based on the facts, this authority determines the profiteered amount as 1,42,369 for the 11 residential units for the period July 17 to August 8. This is as per the details furnished by the DGAP in his report. This amount includes an amount to the tune of 21,113 pertaining to applicant number 1 and 1,21,256 pertaining to 10 other recipients who were not applicants in the present proceedings as per the details furnished by the DGAP. It is also established from the perusal of these facts of the case that provisions of section 171 have been contravened by the respondents, as he has failed to pass on the benefit of additional ITC to its customers. Accordingly, he is directed to pass an amount of 21,113 to applicant number 1 and an amount of 1,21,256 to the other flat buyers who are not applicants in the present proceedings. This is as per the details provided by DGAP. These amounts shall be paid within a period of 3 months from the date of issue of this order to applicant number 1 and other eligible house buyers by the respondent, along with interest at 18% from the date from which those amounts was realized by the respondent from them, till they are paid as per provisions of Rule 133(3)(b) of the CGST rules, failing which these amounts shall be recovered by the concerned Commissioner CGST or SGST from the respondent and then paid to eligible house buyers. From these discussions, it is clear that the respondent has profiteered by an amount of 1,42,369 during the period of investigation. Therefore, this authority under Rule 133(3)(a) of CGST rules orders that the respondent shall reduce the prices to be realized from the buyers of the flats commensurate with the benefit of ITC received by him as has been detailed in this case. The present investigation is only up to August 18. Therefore, any additional benefit of ITC which shall accrue subsequently shall also be passed on to the buyers by the respondent. In case this additional benefit is not passed on by the applicant number 1 or other buyers, they shall be at liberty to approach the State Screening Committee of Karnataka for initiating fresh proceedings under section 171 of the Act against the respondent. The concerned CGST or SGST Commissioner shall take necessary action to ensure that the benefit of additional ITC is passed on to the eligible home buyers in the future. It is evident from the above that the respondent has denied the benefit of ITC to the buyers of the flats being constructed by him in contravention of section 117 of the CGST Act, and has thus profiteered as per the explanation attached to section 171. Therefore, he is liable for imposition of penalty under section 171 subsection 3 of the CGST Act. So, a show cause notice has to be issued to him, directing him to explain why the penalty prescribed under the above subsection should not be imposed on him. Further, the authority, as per Rule 136 of the CGST rules, directs the commissioners of CGST or SGST Karnataka to monitor this order under the supervision of the DGAP by ensuring that the amount profiteered by the respondent, as ordered by the authority, is passed on to all the buyers. A report in compliance of this order shall be submitted to this authority by the concerned commissionerates within a period of 4 months from the date of recipient of this order. This case law has dealt with the anti-profiteering provisions under section 171 in quite a detail, and computation also has been dealt with in very much detail. Finally, looks like wherever anti-profiteering is there, the customers are due for that compensation from the sellers. So, thank you for a patient hearing. In order to get more such videos, kindly subscribe this channel and click on bell button to receive new videos in real time. Please like the video in order to encourage to make more such videos.